Welcome to the Garmin eTrex 30. Now this is one of the newest handheld navigation devices that Garmin has come out with, so I'm just going to give you a quick rundown on it. Pretty small, you can see it just fits in my hand rather nicely. It is a color display and it is also water resistant. It has an IPX7 rating, which means that it can handle 30 minutes submerged in water that's about 1 meter deep. You don't want to push it much more than that. On the back here is where the USB compartment is covered, that little flap there, and there's your USB connection to plug it into your computer. Now what comes in the box, obviously the unit, and that's pretty much it. It does come with a quick reference guide and a USB cable, but after that there's no actual user manual for you. It's stored inside the unit, so you need to plug this into your computer with the USB cable, and you can download the user manual in various different languages in PDF format. Now, disappointingly, it uses USB 1.1 as opposed to the more common 2.0. So when you're uploading information to the unit, it can take quite a long time depending on how much information, maps, waypoints, routes that you're uploading to the unit. The internal storage is 2 GB, which is fairly respectable for a unit like this. And it does have a micro SD card in the back behind the batteries. All right, so we can just open that up here. There's your batteries. You can use alkaline, lithium, which are a little bit lighter, but they don't last very well in the cold, so keep that in mind. Normal temperatures, lithiums last at least three times longer than alkalines, but you got to keep in mind that lithiums are temperature sensitive. And you can also use nickel metal hydride rechargeable batteries in here if you choose to. You just have to tell the machine what batteries you're using so that it optimizes its power consumption. Behind those batteries is the micro SD card. It does not come with a strap or a lanyard or anything like that, so I've added that on there. Again, that was something else I was a little bit disappointed in. You've got your options on the side here for zooming in and zooming out. A menu button. You've got a power button on the side over here, and that also doubles as the backlight. If you hold it down, it'll turn it off, and if you just press it, it'll turn on the backlight. And then you've also got your back button. On top on the face here, you've got a cursor that you can push in to select the item that you're on. So I'll just press that right there, and it'll open up the maps. The color display is really nice on this. It's not a touchscreen, obviously. Some of the larger ones do have a touchscreen, but you're compromising size for the extra convenience of a touchscreen capability, which isn't important to me. It's fairly useless. This one here, I have taken the liberty of loading in a 32 gigabyte micro SD card because I do like to put a tremendous amount of information in here. So the maps that come with it, it's called the base map, which is pretty basic. It's as the name suggests. So you might want to load on some street maps, or if they're available from Garmin, you can download them, or you can purchase maps on a micro SD card with topography or marine and waterways or things along those lines. You can load that all in there. Now keep in mind they are expensive, the maps, so if you spend enough time poking around online, you can probably find some of the things that you're looking for. For example, if you're trying to keep a huge collection of all the Starbucks in your area, you can find that online. You don't have to worry about downloading anything silly like that from Garmin. Okay, so here's our electronic compass feature. Now, this unit retails for about $350. There is a version down from this, which is the eTrex 20, but you don't have the triple axis compass that you have on this one. As you can see, it will spin around there just a little bit, and you can change all of these boxes up here to show different types of information. It's quite customizable for whatever your needs are. And once you load in a destination, you'll have an arrow on here pointing you to the direction as to where it is, so you can tell your offset between the direction of travel and the direction of your actual object that you're trying to get to, which is kind of nice. The E30 also has a barometric altimeter. So if you're a person like me who likes to keep track of how high and the change in elevation over distance and time, you can see that right here. Obviously it's just a flat line right now because I'm not changing in my elevation, but it is telling me what I am. Where I am right now, what my elevation is, and it's also got a reading here a little over 2,200 foot, and that's for the total ascent that I've done since I've reset the computer in that regard. So if you're a rock climber or a mountaineer, any kind of an expeditionist, careful, you got to pronounce that properly. You'll be able to keep track of your altitudes along the way. The E20 does not have that functionality. This one also has wireless capability, so you can pair it to another unit. You just got to get it close enough and engage that functionality. And this one also has additional wireless peripheral devices like a thermometer or a heart meter or a cadence meter that if you want to strap to your bicycle or your mountain bike or something like that to keep track of your pedals per minute, that type of thing. The trip computer is kind of nice, just to give you all of your stats since you've last reset it. So your total distance, your elevation is, what your speed currently is, which is 0, what your maximum speed was. So here it was 95 kilometers an hour. I don't even know what road that was on, but it was probably on a 100 zone or 90 zone or something like that since I last reset it. Tells you what your sunset is going to be in about 5 hours for where I am right now in this time of year. So there's lots of great information in here. One of the things that I like about the compass feature is that you can kind of point this in a certain direction and it'll give you a heading. So here, the sight and go feature. So when I point this in a certain direction and I lock in that direction, now it's always going to get me there. All I've got to do is keep walking where the compass is telling me to walk. If I veer off course, it'll tell me and get me back on course. Okay, so that's kind of nice in that regard. Now, a lot of, obviously this is for a hiker or somebody who does a lot of backwoods kind of camping, or if you're a portager or something like that, you spend a lot of time in a canoe. This has got a great little feature called the track back. So when you engage the track back functionality and clear it, once you've started it and you start moving, it'll keep track of exactly where you're going so that if you happen to get lost in the woods, you can do a track back and it will tell you how to get back to where you started along the exact same route that you had just taken. So that's kind of nice for those of us who get lost. Now, personally, I don't believe in getting lost. I think it's just a matter of finding alternate routes. And this comes in kind of handy when you're trying to find alternate routes and figure out where you are and where you need to get to. So there's a lot of great options in here. The memory is a little bit limited as far as the number of waypoints and routes that you can store, which is a little bit disappointing. You can only get about 10 of them in there. I can't remember if it's the waypoints you can only get 10 of or the routes. I think it's the routes that you can only get 10 in there. So you kind of need to customize it to your needs every single time. Now, a really neat attribute of the E30 is the type of navigational satellites that it uses. Not only does it use the Global Positioning System, or GPS as we're commonly known, which is a United States military system, but it also uses the Russian GLONASS navigation system. So it's a whole different network of satellites, and it is complete global coverage for both systems. So with that in mind, I've got that configured for both systems right now. You can be pretty sure that no matter where you are in the world, this unit's going to get you a fix on where you are. So you never have to worry about being on the wrong side of an escarpment or the wrong side of a hill or down in a deep gorge. All of those extra satellites working together, this thing will help you out and figure out where you are. I can tell you firsthand how frustrating that is. So if you're in the market for a handheld GPS unit, this is the eTrex 30 is a really, really good one to take a look at. As I said, if you don't want to spend the extra money, you can get the E20, which is about $100 cheaper. But keep in mind you are giving up some functionalities, the most important of which for me is the altimeter and the triple access compass. So I really, really, really like those two features. The wireless sharing, yeah, okay, I haven't used that functionality yet. I probably never will. Adding on the additional peripherals wirelessly, I'm probably never going to do that, like the temperature sensor. I don't really need to know exactly what the temperature is every time I go outside. It's either hot or cold or somewhere in the middle. So I don't need to know down to a fine exact reading as to what the temperature is outside at any given moment. So I'm quite liking this thing. I'm using it quite a lot. I use the road functionality so it can navigate me. I type in a destination where I want to go, and the road maps that I have loaded in here will give me road by road directions. If I'm on foot, I can turn it off. Turn off the road functionality and just say, "Hey, track me on foot," and it'll give me a plot that you can try and get to on foot and keep track of where I am. So there's really, really nice features in there for all of that kind of thing. Let's see. I've also got topography maps loaded in here. You can't see it with this particular view right now, but I like having a topographical map of what's in my area and how steep the hills are and that type of thing. I also have the local trails programmed in here already. Those are those pink lines that you can kind of see. That big red one's a highway. So there's a lot of walking trails in the area, and I have a whole bunch of those loaded in here. So that's the kind of thing that I like doing with it, and it's always handy if you're off in the woods. So if you're thinking about it, consider this one. Maybe the E20 if you don't want the extra features. There's a lot of great handheld GPS units out there. I'm really partial to Garmin. I've got 3 different Garmin units, one for the car, one for the motorcycle, and one for my backpack. So I just love these things. So check them out and see if you can find them from a local electronics retailer near you, like a Best Buy or Future Shop or something along those lines. They're certainly going to have it. You can also find these at good outdoor equipment stores like Mountain Equipment Co-op or any of the other various outfitter stores that will probably have a unit like this or something very, very similar to it. Enjoy!